afternoon, good people. Welcome back to another episode of TROYism. I'm Troy, and it's episode 7, man. And this episode is actually special, or a little special, because we are having this episode, which we had the last one, probably the last 2 or 3 actually. But this one is the last episode before Mercury Retrograde ends. And I'm a believer in Mercury Retrograde. And if you don't know what Mercury Retrograde is, so basically, if you believe in astrology, uh, or just like the movement of the planets affecting our behavior here on Earth, then I'll tell you what Mercury Retrograde is. So, Mercury Retrograde happens, according to the Farmer's Almanac, about 3 or 4 times a year. And we're currently in it. It started July 18th and it will actually end Monday, August 11th. So our next show will officially be out of Mercury retrograde. But we're still in it. This is the last show before we go out of it. So I'm going to deliver the stories with Mercury retrograde in mind. So if anything I say is out of character, assign it to Mercury retrograde. We'll just do it that way, okay? I don't plan to get too far off kilter, but if it does go awry, we have some pretty charged stories today. So maybe a little bit more passion. If so, I'll blame it on Mercury retrograde. But either way, Mercury retrograde is, they say it's an illusion. It's not necessarily the planet Mercury moving in reverse, but it gives the illusion that the planet is moving in reverse for about 2 to 3 weeks. And because of that, astrologers believe that for that 2 or 3 weeks, it affects communication. So text messaging, glitches, travel, misunderstanding, flight delays, flight cancellations, person to person, our communication with one another. This is the time where we misunderstand one another because of Mercury. There's different levels and layers of perception and understanding because everything is in reverse. So yeah, it's a crazy time right now. If you're keeping up with the news and just things going on around the world, and more so just really our country, it seems like we're the center of the, not universe, but we're the center of the earth right now. And I don't always feel that way. I know most Americans feel that way, but I don't always feel like we're the center of it. But it feels like we're the center right now, but not for good reasons. Like, we're not the center for a good reason. We're the center because we just have so much going on. Every time you turn around, we have something going on. So with regard to Mercury retrograde, let's go ahead and get into some quick stories before we get into our bigger ones. Just some quick hits to kind of let you know what's going on in the world. Just some smaller stories that you may not be aware of, or just some movement. So let's get into it. First and foremost, let's give you a quick Epstein update. I won't belabor Epstein. I know I went I went kind of hard last week on the Epstein front just because there were so many moving parts, and I wanted you to be aware of everything that's going on, because I think one of the markers of this administration, the Trump administration, is they hit you with a lot of media and a lot of information. And most people will say, oh, they're trying to distract you from this, or they're trying to distract you from that. No, really, earmuffs, mama. No, they're just doing a bunch of fucked up shit in a very short period of time. So it's not one is a distraction from the other. It's all chaotic, everything, everywhere, all at once. Really good movie, by the way. Academy Award winning movie, by the way. But yeah, so with the Trump Epstein, what's going on? So Ghislane Maxwell has been moved from her high security prison to a prison colony, so to speak, in Texas, where she's being held. That's not suspicious. I don't know if they're about to unalive her or if they're about to aid and abet her escape and pardon. Either way, it doesn't work well for the victims. And so she's in Texas right now. And honestly, the families of the survivors have now reached out to the Department of Justice just to let them know how disgusted they are with the handling of this case. And rightfully so. I mean, the fact that we've dropped the ball like this, and I'm just speaking as a country, the fact that we dropped the ball with this, it's a new low. It's a very new low for me. And I'm not, again, these are the quick stories, so I'm not going to go too deep into it, but it's a new low. The first time I thought that we would effectively change this country, it was surrounding kids, because I always thought that kids were a bipartisan issue. We want to protect kids, even down to the point to where we talk about reproductive rights. Both are to a degree protecting childhood and protecting the welfare of our youth and our future. Whether you're pro-life or pro-choice, whatever, our focus has always been, or kids have always been like the off-limit factor, or kids have always been the point of change for us. The first time I saw that may not be the case was actually Sandy Hook. I remember Sandy Hook pretty vividly. I was working in home health care at the time, and it happened, if I can recall, it happened like maybe 2 or 3 weeks before Christmas, actually, when the Sandy Hook attack. And if you don't remember Sandy Hook, that was when there was a school shooting, but this one was with very small children. I think they were like K through 3. But anyway, when Sandy Hook happened, and Obama was the president at the time, and he went up and gave the speech, and the tear fell, and he cried. I don't want to say the tear fell because that makes it sound performative. I think that was genuine emotion. But when that happened, I was like, okay, gun reform is going to be on legislation now, because whether you're Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Independent, whatever political party you align with, I think we can all agree that we have to put things in place to make sure that children are safe, especially when it comes to getting their education, going to school. That's their job, That's what they put up their 40 hours plus a week. And so I just knew at that point, it was very sad, like I said, for me, because I remember it happening very close to Christmas, and all I thought was a lot of those families are about to experience their first Christmas without a child, a very small child. And I remember that messed with me a lot. Sandy Hook did. And so I thought we were going to get changed then, because small children were involved, and I thought we could all at least agree on the welfare of children. Well, foolishly, I guess, as a black man who grew up in this country and watched the Reagan administration ravage through the black community, arresting parents and putting drugs in the neighborhood and things like that. Didn't care about those little black kids, but these were little white kids. And we don't have to get into that, but these were little white kids. So I just thought change would happen. Either way, fast forward, that was 2012, I think. 2012, what are we, 13 years later. And yeah, now we're at the point where we're not even protecting children when it comes to sexual SA. I got to get used to these YouTube words. When it comes to SA, so we're in the toilet when it comes to children, man. But anyway, the families are saying, you've handled this horribly. I'm not gonna stop talking about it. I will always have an Epstein update for you, even if I just reiterate the facts, because we're not gonna let this be swept under the rug. Because right now, this is the cultural identifier of Trump's second term. You either are a chomo or you are moving heaven and earth to protect them. And that's wild. And I have another theory too. I actually don't think he's protecting them. I think he actually has the list of them, and he's using that list to blackmail them to get what he wants to carry out essentially Project 2025 in his administration. That's ultimately what I think. I can't prove it, so we'll just call it a tinfoil hat moment or whatever. But that's what I think. I think he has the list. He's well aware of the list. I think he's in the list, but I also think there's a lot of other very powerful global figures in the list, and I think he's using that list against them to get his tariffs, to get planes from Qatar. That's just what I believe. I can't prove it, but so we can just call it a conspiracy theory. But that's what I think. I think he has the list, and he's using it as most use for blackmail. But anyway, let's move forward and talk about another thing that President Trump has going on. So this past week, the president reinstated the president fitness test, which is a series of physical fitness tests. I grew up, I was born in the 80s, but I grew up, my childhood was essentially in the 90s and early 2000s. So I remember the presidential fitness test very well. It was enforced by President Dwight W. Eisenhower back in 1956. and it actually ran through 2012. It was replaced during the Obama administration with Michelle Obama's Let's Move campaign, which was essentially the same thing. It just pretty much was an update to the program, so they discontinued that one. If you remember, that's the one where Beyonce rewrote "Get Me Body" for the kids, and she was in the school with the kids working out and stuff. So basically, the presidential fitness test includes a 1 mile run, pull-ups and or push-ups, sit-ups, a shuttle run to test agility and speed, and then the sit and reach to measure flexibility. I remember these like yesterday. Shout out to Coach Robinson. She would even take our body fat percentage with the little thing where you like clip the fat behind under your arms and then I think your calf muscle. So yeah, I remember it very well. Either way, the president is bringing it back. Now on its own, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think in a society where we're inundated with video games and digital media and a lot of stuff that keeps us isolated, connected socially through technology, but more so isolated and sedentary with video games and just being in the house, I think this is actually good, especially for kids in school. So the problem, ooh, that one caught me off guard. Sorry, you guys. I'm so sorry. The problem with this initiative is not necessarily him bringing it back, because like I said, in itself is good. The problem is our president seems to be unable to distance himself from people who enjoy touching underage children. So one of his spokespersons for this was the wrestler Triple H, who's married to Stephanie McMahon, who's the daughter of Vincent McMahon, who is the owner and CEO of the World Wrestling Federation, WWF, WWE, all the wrestling is Vince McMahon. If you're familiar with wrestling, you know that. Well, Vince McMahon has come under scrutiny in recent years for some underage stuff, allegedly, as well as just being sexually predatory as it pertains to women. Mind you, his wife, Linda McMahon, is over the Department of Education. It's just this through line of children aren't safe around these people. And that should give us all concern. Like everywhere you turn, there's like a through line of kids might not be safe with these people. You wouldn't trust any of these people to watch your children for an hour, let alone a day. So it gets worse. So within this presidential fitness initiative that he's re-rolling out, the other person who's his spokesperson, who essentially went up there and said, I don't know why I'm here, but if the president needs me, I'll do whatever he needs me to do, and I'll be here to serve in that capacity. Lawrence Taylor, former football player, Lawrence Taylor, football great. Let's separate the art. We have to be able to start doing that. Separate the entertainment and the art and athleticism and the greatness from the person. So Lawrence Taylor, the football player, great, amazing, historic football player. His legacy is cemented. However, another part of his legacy is that he has been convicted and pled guilty and is now a registered sex offender for what he calls consensual relationship with a 16-year-old girl. Statutory. He pled guilty to that. He's on that list. If he moves, he has to call the cops and let them know he's moving because they have to put him on the local list wherever he is. I don't know. I mean, he probably lives in a gated community, so he doesn't have to put a sign out front. But if you search that map, you know that little map that Kendrick Lamar had on top of Drake's house? He has one of those little dots on his house. So Lawrence Taylor, who's a spokesperson for the presidential fitness campaign in schools with children, is he can't show up to any of the damn schools. Like, it gets to a point, or as Jasmine Masters would say, when do it become, how can you be surrounded by all these type of people who violate children sexually before we start to realize that, I mean, the writings are on the wall. I think it's all going to come to a head. I think this actually probably keeps him up at night trying to bury and cover all of this up, but he keeps running into it. I don't know if this is him or, again, Mercury Retrograde, but it's just all not good, man. It's just not good at all. Hide your kids, hide your wives. They're predators out here, and the president is endorsing them and protecting them at all costs. Your president of these United States is hell bent on a hell bent mission to protect CHOMO'S. That's what it's shaping up to be. I don't have to say allegedly. That's what it's shaping up to be, and that's the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is he's the ringleader, and they're all hovering around him because they take orders from him, and that's really sad. So those are our quick stories, believe it or not. We actually have some more some more chaotic stuff going on in media and in the world. So sit tight, and we'll be right back. All right, and we are back. All right, let's get it going, man. So our first story of today is interesting. It's interesting because it's almost like we're playing face off right now when it comes to races and people in this country and where we're headed. This definitely does not feel progressive. It feels extremely regressive, but let me bring you in on what I'm talking about. So there's an ongoing project in the Ozark Hills of Arkansas called Return to the Land, which is intended to be a white-only community. This project, primarily attracting millennials and Gen Z, aims to preserve what its founders perceive as white culture and heritage by controlling who their neighbors are. The idea is presented as a form of free association, not as an attempt to suppress other groups. According to the video, also available on YouTube. However, this concept is also described as a modern version of historical prejudice, reminiscent of sundown towns and segregation. I watched I watched the clip. So first off, are y'all not tired? Like, this version of white people who subscribe to this type of blatant white supremacy, are you not tired? Do you not know how this ends? Either way, I guess I'll give the story some type of credence or credit since I brought it to you all. So here's the thing. I watched the video. It's in a country very reminiscent. If you're from the South, anywhere below the Mason-Dixon, you know what a sundown town is. In Texas, anything east headed towards, from the I-10 east headed towards Louisiana, is very much a sundown town. We have gas stations we fill up at, like, before we get to a certain point, and no matter whether you have a 3/4 tank or 1/4 tank, you fill up and then you don't stop until you cross the Louisiana state line. So to this day, that's still very much a thing. I don't know if we're losing recipes and people aren't telling their children or the youth that, but I very much grew up in that time, and then I went to college in that region, so I'm very familiar with that as well. Also, keep in mind things like James Byrd in Vidor, Texas, the black man who was chained to the axle of a truck and pretty much dragged to death. So we're not unfortunately, this is not unfamiliar territory to me. True enough, I was born in Dallas, but I went to school at Prairie View A&M University, which is 45 minutes northwest of Houston. But to get there, there's a few ways to get there. You can take 45 all the way and kind of cross over, or you can take 45 to exit 6 at Madisonville. I know it sounds so country, right? Exit 6 at Madisonville, and then Madisonville, it'll take you through a back road that'll drop you off on 6, my bad. That'll take you to 290, which leads you to Prairie View. Either way, I said all that to say there is a stop. And if you're from Dallas, or if you've ever taken that Madisonville exit, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't know if it's still there, but considering Trump's the president, I'm sure it's not only there, but they've renovated and expanded. There was this vendor at this one 4-way stop sign, and he sold Confederate flags, and they were tall, and he had every version of a Confederate flag. He had Confederate flags in different colors. Hell, I even think he had a Pride Confederate flag. Like, this man was selling Confederate flags at the stop, and you pull up to it, you look to your right, because to the right is that, and then to the left is a gas station. I can't tell you what that gas station looks like inside because I've never stopped at that gas station across the street from the Confederate vendor stand on the corner. Not even an official building or anything. It's just him, his truck, and a bunch of Confederate flags hanging out at the corner. You damn near use it as a marker to know where you are. Be like, oh, the Confederate flags, I'm almost there. I'm almost to 290. So, or to 6. I'm sorry, I'm a little rusty. 6 to 290. My bad. To 6. So that's what I think. When I think of the Ozark Hills return to the land community, that's what I think. But I'll go a little bit further. So and it's millennials and Gen Z who are creating this. Gen Z, I will even give a pass. But millennials, that's a little disheartening, because if I think about our collective millennial group, we all grew up together. Y'all was rapping Jay-Z, and we were singing Pink and Miley Cyrus and Blink 182. We all grew up on the corner of TRL Live. So the fact that we've grown, politics has made us so divisive in the sense in this country to where we look at one another as the enemy. Don't get me wrong. We are not perfect by far. I get that. But I definitely feel the regression of where we are right now. But let's cut forward. Let's just cut through this. Millennials and Gen Zs, you're going to build this community. And I don't know how you're going to fund it. I don't know how you're going to keep it up. But I'll tell you this. I wish you well. I wish you well to the point to where you can stay in there and not leave. Don't ever come back. Don't ever re-enter society, because what you will do is you will raise your children to only see whiteness in their existence. You will have them only respect and uphold the tenets of white supremacy. And I want you to keep those kids in there. And we definitely know some inbred shit's probably gonna happen. There's the Mercury Retrograde part. We know some inbred shit's gonna happen, but just by chance that you all figure this thing out and it actually is a success, and you build it up and you have your own little version of Main Street. Let's paint the picture. You'll have your own version of Main Street, and you'll have a bank, and you'll have a grocery store, and you'll have a five and dime, and you'll have nice schools, nice solid red brick schools for your kids to learn about how Christopher Columbus discovered America, and how every invention that a black person invented was actually a white person, and how Tupac was white, and how Viola Davis was white, and how whatever lies you're going to create within that little colony, I hope it all works out for you. I hope it becomes so successful that it becomes a model for other all-white communities around the country. I really do. That's my fervent prayer for you. As if you already don't have white-only communities. But let's go with this. I hope it works out for you. I hope it's successful to no end. And the moment you reach that pinnacle of success, we're going to come and we're going to burn it down. A la Tulsa, a la Rosewood, a la everything that black Americans have built in this country for themselves during Reconstruction and further, and has been decimated on the strength of just because we're not allowed to have. Build it up. Make it beautiful. Pave the streets with gold. I mean, I want it to be amazing. I want it to be beautiful so that we can come and burn it down. We're going to burn it down. I'm joking. We're not going to burn it down. We're not going to burn it down. But wouldn't it serve you right? Wouldn't it serve you right if we came into your communities, established communities that you built for yourself and your children and their children and the future of your existence? Wouldn't it serve you right if we came through unprovoked and burned it all down as you slept? Wouldn't it be great if you woke up one day and everything you built for the past 15 or 20 years, just ashes, Wouldn't it be appropriate? Wouldn't it be what you would deserve in this country? I think so. You'd probably be hard pressed to find people who don't think so, especially if they look like me. So, for any other group of people who want to build these communities to isolate yourselves and do that, I say do it. In the words of Felicia Rashad in the Drake video, just make sure you leave when you go. Don't come back. Don't reassimilate. Don't come back for government programs. Don't come back for any of that. Stay where you are. We'll be a much better society, less people like you. So congratulations on the trash taking itself out. Let's take a quick break because we have more foolishness at the hands of white supremacy. All right, and we're back. All right, so let's just keep this white supremacy train moving. So the next story up involves Euphoria actress Sydney Sweeney. I'm sure you've heard her name. You probably don't even know who she is. She's a decent actress. I don't want to discredit that. She is actually a decent actress. I've seen a few things she's been in. She did a rom-com recently with Glenn Powell, who was in the remake of Twister. I forgot what it was called, but it was decent. It's what you're going to get for a rom-com. Her claim to fame is probably from Euphoria, though, the show that a lot of people kind of shy away from on HBO because it deals with high schoolers who succumb to drug abuse, all types of drugs. Really good show. I think it started during the pandemic, and we're still waiting on the ever elusive season 3, I think. Yeah, it's only on season 3. But the pandemic broke it up, and then it stars Zendaya. She went and took off and started doing other projects, and Jacob Elordi went and did Saltburn and other projects as well. He went and played Elvis in the Priscilla. Either way, you know how I can do about movies, especially in film and television. Sydney Sweeney, decent actress of Euphoria fame. Well, Sydney has found new fame, and it's coming with a lot of backlash. So recently, she was a part of an ad for American Eagle, the brand, and she's in denim, all denim. And there's a double play. There's a double play on the words, a double entendre on the use of the word jeans. And I won't go bar for bar with it, but essentially she was saying, my genes were passed down from my parents, and my genes are blue, and she has these blue lipid pools for eyes, like something like that. And so clearly, when it comes out, there's clearly this double play on words where the word genes could also be used as genes along the lines of DNA. This came across and was received generally, but we'll let the GOP tell it. It was just the liberals, but it was generally received as a double play and a eugenics dog whistle. So eugenics is basically the ideology of preserving and protecting whiteness. Eugenics is also the study that was used where the Smithsonian held brains, collected the brains of deceased, and some weren't deceased yet, African Americans as the study to determine that African Americans' brains are smaller, therefore they're not the superior race. It's a whole science built around proving that white people are the superior being. Either way, this ad serves or came across as a dog whistle for eugenics and the preservation of whiteness just because of the double play on the word genes. My first reaction was, first of all, I caught that part. I caught the double play. As someone with a marketing degree, I didn't necessarily pivot to the outrage angle that everyone else did, or my outrage wasn't for what everyone else's was for. Everyone else's is generally the outrage of the somewhat racist or kind of racist dog whistle involving, this blonde-haired, blue-eyed, average to beautiful white woman. I mean, Sydney Sweeney is, she's not, I'm not going to get into women's looks, but I'll say this. If this were the 90s, she wouldn't be Sharon Stone. She wouldn't be Nicolette Sheridan if this were the 80s. She wouldn't be Tawny Katan. I'm going deep in the bag. She wouldn't be Cameron Diaz. She'd be the woman that would lose out on roles to those women. Let's just put it that way. But either way, like I said, Sydney Sweeney is a decent actress. But with all of that, like I said, my outrage went straight to what I saw this being. And first of all, I have to say bravo to American Eagle. Bravo to American Eagle, because that's really who made off with this. My only warning to Sydney Sweeney is be careful what you allow yourself to be the face of, because this administration and this ideology that we live in right now, I know it seems like it's grounded in reality and realness and that it may last forever, but it won't. But you will carry it forever. 2 words, Chrisette Michele. Look it up. Those things you do, and that was unfair for Chrisette Michele, considering how black men came after her and did exactly what she did and didn't pay the price all the way up until Snoop Dogg 6 months ago. 2 words, Sydney Sweeney, Chrisette Michele. Some things we do, we can't outlive or outlast or outcorrect. So I understand as an actor, as a performer, you take gigs and you do gigs, but you have to be a little bit more careful with your legacy, because the last thing you want to do is be a daughter of Confederate after the Confederate collapses. You look like a daughter of the Confederate right now, and if that's not your intention, you have some course correcting to do. If that is your intention, when this shit falls, you will fall with it. Now, to American Eagle, bravo. But I'll give you even a harsher warning, and companies like you, a la Target, a la whoever bent the knee to this DEI bullshit, recall bullshit. Be clear. Using racism, using any other societal ill to get market share, because that's what happened. Let's be very clear. American Eagle is not remotely a company for you to be worried about as it pertains to market share. I think they have about 10% market share. Their primary competitor is the Gap brand, which holds about 31 to 32% of market share. So let's talk about that. You're not the big dog in this race, but what you did do successfully was incite the right to support you because they think you align with their hidden but not so hidden values of racism. So you got them on your side. And then on the other side, you created the outrage machine on the left that is doing all your free PR bidding. So that's why I say bravo to you. On the other side of that, I say fuck you to you. And the reason why I say fuck you, American Eagle, is because in this country, the idea that you want to use eugenics and the Americanism of selling sub-fucking-par denim is disgusting. And any company that does this over the next 4 years and have done it within the past 6 months, we will never forget who you are. First of all, again, I get your angle. Men buy American Eagle, but they put a woman in this ad because they need to boost their market share with women. You're never going to be Jell-O. You're never going to be the Gap. You're never going to be Banana Republic. You're never going to be any of those stores. No one will ever look at you in that regard. And actually, you would have been better just doing some snappy social media posts, because now you look like shit. And now we will always associate you with eugenics and racism and not just the underwear choice of DL men. So let's get that clear. So again, I say fuck you, American Eagle, because you thought you were going to take the short racist route and get all of this uproar, which you succeeded because their stocks are up. But here's the gotcha. American Eagle is anything but American, because their clothes are not made in America. They're actually made in 4 countries. I'll let you look them up. They're made in 4 countries that Trump just added double, if not triple, tariffs on. So those beautiful blue jeans that you're trying to sell are going to go up in price. And I got to let you know, the MAGA base shops at Walmart. They do not shop at fucking American Eagle of all places. So they don't shop there now. The prices are about to spike because you don't make anything in America, and you all are going to buy it, or try to anyway, or probably not. Who knows? But I'll say this to any of you companies who think it's okay to use this type of racial division as if we don't have enough in this country, as if we haven't spent most of my life and the life of the people who raised me and the life of the people who raised them to try to find some semblance of unity behind the lie of the American dream, for you to come and try to divisively take that apart because of capitalism and because of your capital gains, it's trash. And for you to have American in your name, it's more so trash. So the next time we want to riot to the streets, let's probably burn that one down. Let's burn that one down. They're anything but American. It's only American in the name. The clothes are made in China. The clothes are made in Indonesia. The clothes are made in Taiwan. For all I know, the clothes are made at Alligator Alcatraz right now. What are they doing down there? We don't know. So companies like this are the worst of us. And the fact that the president would support this, well, it speaks to who he is, a piece of shit. Sydney Sweeney, you are the only one I'm giving a piece of grace, even though you do live in Florida and you are a registered Republican. I'm still going to give you a sliver of grace because I understand as an entertainer and an artist, it's about name recognition and it's about booking a gig at the end of the day. So that's the only grace I'm going to slide you. But I'll tell you this, if it wasn't your intent, you have a lot of fucking work to do. And if it is your intent, remember that you went down as the daughter of the Confederate, of the new Confederate, which is even more embarrassing. And another thing about the Confederate, the worst thing we could have done as a country when the Confederate lost the war was not got them all fitted for cement boots and marched them into the ocean. There should be no descendants of the Confederate. None. That's not what happens when you lose a war. Either way. And it looks like we're repeating that. So we'll see how it goes this time. But anyway, on any of these companies who are going to use this rage baiting around dividing us in this country, we see you. We see who you are. And when the revolution happens, if it ever happens, we will remember what you did to get us to that point. It's just all so exhausting, right? It is for me. So let's take a break and then we'll get back into the big story of the day. And then we'll get out of here. But yeah, fuck you, American Eagle. I'm sorry, Ma, you might have to skip this episode because I mean that. Like the fact that you use this with your little 10% market share to try to make some money, it'll fold. You won't last. You won't be around because now you're the MAGA Confederate organization that use eugenics and racism to try to boost your market share, and it won't work. Not even with little halfway pretty Sydney Sweeney. So either way, this really isn't even about Sydney Sweeney. She's just a face. She could have been any girl. Let's take a break, and then we'll get back to more bullshit coming out of the White House. Alrighty, and we are back to do our final story, and then we'll just let this last story take us out. Man, I mean, to calm everyone down about the last story with American Eagle, we see this a lot. And we saw this in the first Trump administration. So what I want you to do is stay woke, even though they hate that word. I want you to stay woke and be aware that during the regime changes, because pretty much what it is at this point, during the regime changes in this country, you see people sway left and you see people sway right. What you're going to start seeing is you're going to see your favorite liberal artists start moving into more conservative aligned spaces. You're going to start seeing them move into, things that you wouldn't necessarily align. And that's because they have to be formidable. They have to survive within the beast. And so still be critical of it and what they're doing and how far they're going. But I do want you to understand that when this country sways left to right, that's what happens to art, that's what happens to entertainment, that's what happens to the way we move through the world. So don't let it discourage you, but definitely keep a critical eye of your faves and your favorite artists and things like that. Incoming. I think it's a bird. Oh, that was a big one. Woo, that was a big one. All right. But like I was saying, just be aware and be cognizant of the sway that we do from left to right. If you go back to Trump's first term, you will see the same thing happen. You saw people sway over to the White House and like Kim K's and the people like that. Although of all the people who swayed to the White House, I think Kim K probably made the best use of hers by getting incarcerated people, mostly people of color, free. So just watch it. Have your thoughts about it. Be critical of it. But just understand that it really is a part of the ebbs and flows of this country and how it moves left to right. So don't let it underwhelm you. Don't let it overtake you. And so, yeah, just be aware of that. So, this last story, I was actually even waiting to do the show so that I could give you the most up-to-date of this story. So I talked to you last week about what was going on in Texas and how the GOP of Texas, led by Governor Greg Abbott, they're trying to rewrite basically gerrymandering, which means they're rewriting the districts in Texas so that they can pick up more House seats for the GOP. Because the plan right now, again, I told you last week, is they are trying to steal the 2026 midterms. I keep telling you, Democrats, independents, undecideds at this point, those who have migrated away from MAGA, migrated away from the Republican Party in this unknown place. You can stop this train in 2026, and they know you can. So they're doing things like what they're attempting to do in Texas, which is stop you from voting them out of the House. Dems get control of the House, and this presidency is effectively over. Again, I say the House holds the purse. The House is the money. The House approves and backs the legislature. So if the GOP loses the House, they can't move things freely in between from committees to the House to the Senate back up to the president for approval. Which, trust me, if we got this in 6 months out of 4 years, just believe that there's 3.5 more years of bullshit that we will have to brace ourselves for. That could stop. We could shorten that if we do what we need to do in 2026. So let's take it back down to Texas. They're attempting to rewrite Texas. They're trying to rewrite the districts so that they pretty much abolish the Democratic seats or get rid of them. So much so that one of our famed House reps, Jasmine Crockett, out of Dallas, Texas, they rewrote her district. They moved her district so much they moved her out of her damn district. She doesn't even live in the proposed district. So boom, this is what happened. The Democrats, which they were supposed to vote today, which they would have been outnumbered, they would have lost. 51 of them decided to flee and vacate the state of Texas so that the Texas House of Representatives could not meet quorum. So, as a former member of Student Government Association at the great Prairie View A&M University, quorum essentially means you have to have a certain amount of members of the governing body to even vote on bills or pass anything. If you don't make quorum, then anything on that agenda effectively cannot happen because you don't have enough people to vote on it. So what they did, they said, well, we're going to go to Chicago with J.B. Pritzker, who is a Democratic, the Democratic governor of Illinois. And so that's where they are, which is a long way from Texas, which means that they couldn't meet quorum. And so today, the bill effectively failed on the floor simply because they didn't meet quorum. Governor Greg Abbott issued a warrant for their arrest, which is not even legal. Like, this is political theater. Remember when Nancy Pelosi and all of the Dems put on those Wakanda Forever kente cloth hats and took the knee and all that shit? It's just like that. It's performative. He can't do anything. Because if he can do something, then that means that we can do something for the House of Representatives ending their session early so that they didn't have to vote on Jeffrey Epstein. Yes? That would be the same thing. Yes? So if we can't do anything about them taking summer vacation early to not talk about the commander-in-chief protecting the CHOMO'S, then surely you can't do anything about this. So it's all performative at this point. But shout out to Texas. Shout out to Texas and shout out to the Democrats. Now, this is war. And when I say war, I don't mean physical war. I don't want it to get there. I don't want it to get there because some places you go, there's no way back. You just have to kind of go through it at that point. And I don't want us to get there. I think we talk about that figuratively, but we don't understand the price of an actual civil, physical war on this land. We don't want that. I promise you. On either side, Democrat, Republican, in between, we don't want that. But when I say this is a proverbial war, Texas Democrats have just laid the blueprint for Dems across the country, if you want to effectively win the midterms and begin to get this country back balanced, or at least stop the hemorrhaging of what this party is doing, that we will have to undo for at least the next 10 to 20 years if they continue, this is what you have to do. It is nuck if you buck season when it comes to Democrats and politics. Governor Gavin Newsom currently rewriting the map to effectively get rid of all the Republican seats in California, which gives actually the House Dems the one up, because California has more delegates than Texas. Kathy Hochul out of New York, governor of New York, she just said effectively, I'm quoting her, she said, "This is war. Texas showed us what time it is, and we're on that time." So when you have New York, which is blue, when you have California, which is blue, doing this, you don't have enough red states. And I just want to say this. Red states, you're going to lose this. If it comes down to this type of action, you're going to lose. You know why? Because you fund nothing. You are broke. You are effectively broke. Texas, I love Texas. That's my home state. But Texas, you get money from the government to operate. You don't have it like that. And no amount of racism, white privilege, or whatever you want to call it right now, or protecting the real America, whatever you call it, it's not going to work. You're going to lose, because blue cities create jobs. Blue states create jobs. Blue states fund this country. If you think of every global hotspot in this country, it's blue. People travel to LA. People travel to New York. These are effectively deep blue cities in blue states with big fucking pockets. Give it up, Delicious. You look like a man. If you know where that's from, you know where it's from. Or more so, straighten up that neck, Buckeye. This ain't a soup kitchen. Bucky, this ain't a soup. Is it Bucky? Was it Bucky? No, that was Boots and Bucky. What was her name? What was the white girl name? Buck Wild. Stiffen up that neck, Buck Wild. This ain't a soup kitchen. Because I'm telling you, red states, you are going to suffer. You're already going to suffer because of the tariffs and all the other shit that you're supporting Trump doing. You feel that already. You want to get into this battle, you will lose. You will lose big, and there will be no coming back. My other thought on this is, Dems, it's time to put your soldier boots on. It is time. And before we get out of here, there's one, you know what? I just have one question. And the question is not just for MAGA. The question is not just for independents or libertarians or Dems. This question is for the general American. What will it take? What will it take? And I'm going to tell you a quick story about a situation I had with a friend, and then I'll get back to this. But just let it sit in your mind. What will it take? So quick, story time. I had a friend, and we don't really talk that much anymore, but either way. I had a friend who was in and out of relationships, and basically, this friend got into a relationship and was effectively sure. I say effectively a lot. I also watched that number. But this friend was very sure that their person was cheating on them. I mean, they had the text threads, they were following them, they had location trackers, and they would always come back to me. This is also why I don't like to do a lot of that dating shit, because I've been through it one-on-one with a few of my friends. But either way, this friend was like, "Look, Troy, I saw this. Look at this text message. She's talking to somebody else." Or, "Troy, look, she didn't come home to this, and that. I saw it. I saw this, and that. Troy, she was sending this picture to this, and that." And it came to a point where I just told the friend, I said, "Stop." Because they were spiraling. This friend was spiraling. And I said, "Stop. What will it take?" And they said, What do you mean, what will it take? I said, "What will it take?" Still puzzled. Of course, I broke it down. I said, "What will it take for you to know what you already know? What will you need to see? Will you need to walk in and see this person in bed with someone? Will you need to hear the words come out of their mouth? Like, will you need them to own it to you, to your face? because it felt like although they had all this evidence and all this proof, they still were holding out hope that they just may be wrong about this person. Effectively, they were not wrong. But I posed that question to them, and I said, you need to start thinking along the lines of what you will need to see, and then stop worrying about all the stuff you've collected and just wait to see what you're looking for, and then take action on what you're waiting to see. Because you've already collected enough data to have you down the road and around the corner. You should be gone based on the stuff that you're telling me you found. However, if there's one thing that you particularly are waiting for, one, it may never come and you're going to be in this loop for the rest of your life, or forget everything else you've already seen and wait for that moment, but take action when that moment comes. So I said all that, and I told that quick story to ask America, the average American, what will it take for you to understand that we are not in a good spot right now? What will you need to see this president do? Will you need to see him protect CHOMO'S? Will you need to see him target Americans, basically telling them, true story, telling them that if you don't support Israel, we may withhold federal aid when it comes to natural disasters? Is that what you need to see? Because that just happened today. Will you need to see him tell you that we're going to give aid and money to all of these foreign countries, but we're going to crack down on you, and we're going to not only reactivate your student loans, but we're going to restart the interest, and we're going to add the interest, and we're going to make the payments higher for you, further collapsing the middle class? Is that what you need to see? Because that's here. Do you need to see him have a president initiative and invite CHOMO'S on stage to lead the initiative that involves children in schools? Is that what you need to see? Because that's here already. Do you need to see him create modern day concentration camps to house Latinos, legal, illegal, criminal, non-criminal? Do you need to see that? Because that's already happening right now. So tell me what you need to see, and I'm sure I can find a case where it's already happened or it's going to happen. We're at a point where you're going to have to decide either you are for and support this, and I want you to get vocal about your support for it and know why you support it, or you're going to have to get vocal about why you don't support it. Because we're at that point. There's no silence in this point at this point in the game. There's no silence. You have to speak up. You have to make your voice known. You have to make it critically uncomfortable for this administration and let them know that while America is not perfect by far, this is not who we are. We've progressed past this point. We have work to do, but we have progressed past this point. And so I just ask you, and I'm honestly going to leave you with that. What do you need to see? What needs to happen for you to understand that we are not in a good space right now? And if it continues the way we're going, it's going to get really, really bad. I know I've said that before, but this is no hyperbole. It will get really bad, and it won't be to a restrictive party line. If you're waiting for the Democrats and the liberals to crumble and submit, it's not going to happen. Because the submit that you're looking for is turning into a fight, a legislative fight. Democrats are not going to buckle. I'm not a Democrat, but I'm a registered independent. We'll talk about that one day. But Democrats are ready to fight. You're not equipped to fight. I'm telling you, you're not. There's too much infighting going on in your party for you to do that. So I'll leave you with this. We'll wrap it up here. And I want you to think about this for the next show. What will you need to see in order for you to start raising your voice? Because I'll tell you right now, I want to leave this with all non-white people. Effectively, welcome to what it means to be black in this country. Latinos, welcome to what it means to be racially profiled, detained for no other reason than how you show up and look in this country. That's blackness. Welcome to being denied benefits that you pay your taxes into. We pay our taxes into natural disaster relief. It's a part of the budget, the federal budget, which means that's our tax dollars. And they're telling you if you don't bend the knee to Israel, then you won't qualify for what you pour your tax dollars into. So non-whites, you're all effectively black. Welcome to the cookout. Welcome to the cookout. See, being black is far, in this country, is far more than saying the N-word and knowing every Jay-Z lyric and Nicki lyric and every Beyonce concert. It's more than that. It's more than mac and cheese and greens, beans, tomatoes, potatoes. It's more than memes. It's more than television shows. It's more than dances. It's more than culture. It's more than hair. It's more than that. Welcome to the part of the cookout that you don't think exists. Welcome to the part of the cookout that you gaslight us into thinking isn't a reality anymore. Welcome. So one last time, I will leave you, everyone, with, what will you need to see to realize that shit is real? And you have to raise your voice one way or another. I think we can stop there. I think that's good enough. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk. But until next time, episode 8. But I really want you to think about that. We're knee deep in it right now. And silence is not an option anymore. Your First Amendment right has been burned away. And the ashes that are left are being swept away or blown away. You need to decide, what will you need to see? Till next time, be kind, take care of each other, and watch your mouth, because we're still in retrograde for about another week. So watch your mouth, be careful, be diligent. Talk to you later. Bye.